Hey everybody. I want to talk with you today about condolences. I think that we've reached a point in our world today. This is the beginnings of May 2020. Um, and I think that we kind of have gone a little overboard on the condolences. That is not to say that there has not been great reason to express condolences up to now. And I'm also not saying that it's time to stop expressing condolences. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is that we, as a planet, have become too comfortable as a planet spending most of our time in a state of condolence. And so I believe what happens with that is that ends up being the place where we spend most of our time inside our minds and our hearts and our actions, our pursuits, everything. It is from a place of condolence. And if we ourselves are not directly affected by the current state of affairs with isolation or effects of the economy, there's a lot of things to point to be kind of bummed out about right now. I get it. I get it. But the familiarity and, dare I say, almost the comfort that we're feeling continuing to operate from a place of condolence is skewing our perception of what's possible for the world. And there's going to be people that are just probably this might upset them. I'm sorry. There's plenty of other people to listen to out there though. So I'm really not going to be sidetracked by that. I just want to try to simplify what I'm trying to say here because if you've been watching any of my stuff to this point, I like to simplify stuff. So I want you to imagine that there is a place from which you can operate kind of over here, and we're going to call that the condolences sphere. That means, and that includes consolation too, right? Condolences, offering condolences, condolence, that is an expression of sympathy, right? You are expressing, even sharing sympathy for another person or persons due to something that has befallen them or their family because of a loss, let's say, okay? Condolence. If you are consoling, you are actively trying to make a person or group of people feel better, okay? That's the area we've got over here, okay? Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, meaning the antonym opposite of consolation or condolences, is indifference, insensitivity, even cruelty. Okay? So these are extremes, right? And I think that for the purpose of describing and illustrating what I'm trying to talk about here, I think that's important. So we're defining the boundaries here. We've got consolation and condolences over here, and then we've got indifference, insensitivity, dare I say even cruelty over on this side. Okay, now there is a mid-range, which is I'm not indifferent or insensitive or cruel, and neither am I actively in condolence or consolation. I'm somewhere in the middle, okay? So, oh, look, there's a body here. It's me. Like, I believe that we are not familiar with that mid region. We have spent so much time over here. Now, mind you, I know there's a lot of people that live over here too, all right? But check this out. If it's like a filter or a lens, right? We've simply shifted over to where I'm looking through that condolences, consolation side more than because I'm afraid possibly of, because if I'm not here, I bet I'm going to be here. Like if I'm not actively offering consolation or condolences to somebody, then that means that I'm indifferent. I'm insensitive. I'm cruel. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Get familiar with the mid region. Allow yourself the awareness of saying, I operate from the mid range where I am trying to make my life better. I'm living my life. I'm doing my thing. I'm growing, learning, trying to do the best I can. You know, whatever that mid range looks like. But that mid range does not include living in a state of condolences and consolation constantly. Okay? Neither, of course, does it mean that you are crass and indifferent and insensitive and cruel. Okay? So those are extremes. So check your head, check your heart, check your activity levels. Are you a little bit skewed right now towards one or the other? Okay? Because it's a free world for the most part. Lots of people think that a lot of our free will is being taken away. But I tell you what, there's a ton that they can't touch. That they can't touch. And that is your choice about how you behave, how you come across, how you live your life. What zone, like the glow zone or the no zone, which is an upcoming video. So this idea that I'm working with right now, where it's like, are you living in consolation? Are you living in condolences land? Or are you living in indifferent and insensitive and cruel world? Okay, those are extremes. Find your mid ground. At first, if you have been the person that has lived in these extremes and you're searching for your middle ground, I tell you what, the first thing that you're going to think is like, am I doing enough? I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel like I'm pissed off enough. Or I don't feel like I'm sad enough. Because we are being called to these extremes. That's why people talk about polarization with politics and all sorts of other things. That's what polarization is. Now, polarization in and of itself is not a bad thing. All right? It's okay for us to be aware of these poles, okay, of these extremes, all right? But do you want to live in those extremes? If you do, and that makes you completely content, gets you out of bed in the morning, doesn't keep you up at night, keeps you healthy and away from the dock, get after it, right? If not, I want you to begin to explore your mid-range, which is the place that is not the extreme of condolences and consolation. It is not the extreme of indifference and cruelty. Okay? So find your mid-range, explore it, live it, be willing to even be like, I'm kind of bored. A little bit bored right now. Lots of people are experiencing some boredom, right? So what? It's not bad. It's not bad. Boredom just means that you are not experiencing either extreme, which is fine, right? After a while, you will become really bored of being bored, and you will have a pursuit that is all yours. It is not going to be something that is to where you, this guilt complex is keeping you living in consolation and condolences land. And it's not going to be the wounded person that lives in indifference and cruelty and insensitivity. Okay? It is your mid-range. Okay? If it were a pH scale, it would be hovering around 7. Okay? Get used to what that balance feels like. It is a much more peaceful place to live. It is not dictated by guilt and habit. It is not dictated by fear and habit. Okay? It's all yours. You define it. It's the mid-range. I want to get the planet in a better mood, you guys, because seriously, I need some more people to hang out with that are in a better mood. Okay? All right. I love you guys to pieces. Peace out.